The internal combustion engine, invented nearly 200 years ago, has dominated the automotive industry since the early 1900s. But today, that old technology is rapidly being replaced by a new paradigm: electric vehicles powered by rechargeable batteries. And over the past decade, one country has risen to become the undisputed global leader in this transformative industry: China. Over the course of just a few years, China has gone from a bit player to an absolute powerhouse of the global auto sector. For example, between 2009 to 2022, Chinese consumers received direct subsidies of up to $3,000 per EV, significantly lowering the upfront cost for drivers. Meanwhile, manufacturers received research grants, tax breaks, and low-interest loans to ramp up EV production. Local governments like Shanghai and Shenzhen offered additional rebates, making EVs 20 to 30% cheaper than gas-powered cars. Dozens of Chinese EV startups have emerged in recent years, challenging established players like state-owned SAIC and privately held BYD. This intense competition keeps prices low and encourages companies to introduce new features and cutting-edge designs. Through subsidies, quotas, infrastructure, competition, and planning, China has jump-started the transition to electric mobility within its borders. As a result, the groundwork was laid for Chinese EVs to dominate globally. Several factors are propelling the international success of Chinese EVs: affordability, innovation, supply chain, and changing consumer preferences. Companies like XPeng, Li Auto, and NIO offer models packed with smart assistance, autonomous features, and connected services. China dominates processing of materials like lithium, cobalt, and rare earths, which are essential for EV batteries and motors. As a result, Chinese automakers enjoy stable access to components at competitive prices. While Western rivals face shortages and inflation, advanced technology gives Chinese EVs a competitive edge in capturing market share. First, Chinese EVs offer consumers attractive prices. While quality has improved dramatically, Chinese cars still benefit from lower labor and material costs compared to Western competitors. According to Bloomberg, Chinese EVs are about 30% cheaper than comparable Western EVs. First, China's government will likely double down on strategic industries like EVs, semiconductors, and AI, providing ample support and resources. Second, Chinese companies will continue pouring resources into R&D, aiming to leapfrog Western rivals in areas like battery technology and autonomous driving. Third, China's vast domestic market provides fertile testing ground and ample scale for the rollout of new technologies and business models. Finally, Chinese automakers will leverage their cost advantages and partnerships to expand internationally, offering consumers in developing countries a compelling alternative to Western brands. This trend accelerates EV adoption in countries like India, Thailand, and Indonesia, opening opportunities for Chinese brands. Its implications extend beyond just transportation, touching on energy security, economic competitiveness, and geopolitical influence. As China accelerates its EV rollout, other nations must take note and adapt quickly to remain competitive. The automotive industry is at an inflection point, and China clearly leads the charge toward a new era of electrified mobility. The challenge for the rest of the world is to find ways to keep pace. Its domestic market is large enough to sustain multiple automakers, and competition remains fierce. As a result, China's EV industry will continue innovating and improving to stay ahead. Legacy automakers must invest heavily in electrifying their fleets or risk falling behind. Established players will need to adapt quickly to compete on price, quality, and innovation. Affordability makes Chinese EVs especially appealing to price-conscious consumers in emerging markets. As a result, EVs became affordable to a broad swath of consumers. Through generous subsidies, supportive policies, cutting-edge research, and infrastructure development, China has cultivated an environment where EV innovation and adoption flourish. As a result, Chinese EVs are poised to transform the global auto industry and reshape transportation markets worldwide. In fact, China is winning an increasing share of the global EV market every year. Consider these recent developments. China now holds a 10% market share in Europe, the second largest EV market after China. With Chinese brands like MG, Maxus, and iWays gaining popularity, Chinese EVs could capture 15% of European sales by 2025. Moreover, Chinese brands are becoming more prominent in other regions. For example, BYD and Great Wall Motors control 75% of Thailand's burgeoning EV market. Other Chinese brands like Cherry Hosen and NIO are entering the Indian market, challenging established players like Hyundai and Kia. Even in North America, Chinese EV makers are making inroads. While limited by high tariffs, brands like BYD and NIO have started selling EVs directly to customers in the United States and Canada. Overall, Chinese EVAs are now a force to be reckoned with in every major auto market worldwide. In 2010, China produced less than 1% of the world's EVAs. Today, it produces and sells more electric cars than the rest of the world combined. It has created the world's largest EV charging network and boasts dozens of homegrown companies that rival foreign giants. And even more remarkably, China now exports its EVs all around the world, including two markets once dominated by American and Japanese automakers. This essay will explore the astounding rise of Chinese electric vehicles. We'll examine the key factors behind its meteoric ascent and what it means for the future of the global auto industry. Let's start by looking at how China got here in the first place. Like China's rise as a global economic power, the ascent of Chinese electric vehicles is the result of decades of careful government planning. Unlike Western markets where EV adoption has been driven mostly by private sector innovation and piecemeal policy support, China's government took a top-down approach to make EVs the backbone of the country's auto industry. Let's look at the 5 pillars propping up China's EV dominance. Subsidies, quotas, infrastructure, competition, and planning. First, China showered generous subsidies on EV makers and buyers, effectively putting the industry on a fast track. Second, China employed strict EV quotas and mandates, forcing automakers to shift away from combustion engines. The dual credit system instituted in 2017 compels automakers to produce a certain percentage of EVs or purchase credits from rivals that exceed their targets. The new energy vehicle mandate sets binding targets for EV production every year, increasing the percentage of EVs automakers must sell. Meanwhile, cities like Beijing and Shenzhen have begun restricting the sale of new gasoline cars, accelerating the transition. These policies ensured a steady increase in EV sales and production. Third, China invested heavily in charging infrastructure, helping to ease consumer concerns about range anxiety. It built the world's largest charging network, with 1.8 million public chargers, accounting for 60% of the global total. The government also encouraged innovations like battery swapping. NIO, a Chinese EV maker, has developed over 2,300 swap stations, where drivers can exchange depleted batteries for fully charged ones in just 3 minutes. The swappable battery approach helped make EVs more practical for daily driving. Fourth, competition within China's domestic auto market spurred rapid innovation and efficiency gains. Fifth, perhaps most importantly, China's central planning enabled the country to set clear industry-wide goals and monitor progress closely. Under the Made in China 2025 industrial policy, the government designated EVs as a strategic priority sector, aiming for 20% of all car sales to be electric by 2025. That target was met early in 2023. The plan also aims for 50% by 2035, with full electrification in major cities. By setting binding targets and regularly reviewing progress, China has maintained focus and momentum in the EV revolution. In contrast, Western governments often struggle with short-term thinking and fragmented policies. In summary, China's government orchestrated a multifaceted assault on the status quo, methodically dismantling barriers to EV adoption. Having mastered EVs at home, China is now exporting its expertise and products abroad. So how did China achieve this impressive feat? How are Chinese EVs stacking up against international competition? Second, Chinese EV makers are prioritizing innovation and advanced features. Third, China's control over the EV supply chain enables Chinese automakers to keep costs down and production high. Fourth, evolving consumer preferences favor Chinese EVs. Many developing countries are bypassing gasoline cars altogether, opting directly for cleaner, more efficient electric vehicles. Finally, while challenges remain, including trade barriers and geopolitical tensions, China's EV leadership is secure for the foreseeable future. To conclude, China's remarkable rise as an EV powerhouse is the result of years of strategic planning, investment, and execution. However, China's dominance also presents challenges. Automakers in the US, Europe, and Japan face an uphill battle trying to catch up. As we look to the future, several trends will shape the evolution of Chinese EVs. In conclusion, the rise of Chinese EVs is a pivotal development, reshaping global markets and industries. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to learn more about China and its economy, make sure to subscribe.